Yesterday we talked about how the thoracic spine influences shoulder motion. And I know we're specifically talking about the transverse plane or internal and external rotation at the shoulder. However, the thoracic spine plays a great role in all types of motion at the shoulder. And one great thing about it, or one kind of fascinating thing, is it's not just at the shoulder too. It also goes up to the neck and to the low back, to the hips, and even to the knees, okay? You know, they say one bone, or neck bone's connected to the shoulder bone all the way down the line, but this really plays a big part in the thoracic spine. If you think about it, standing up here, if I'm kyphotic or rounded in my mid-back here, this is obviously putting internal rotation stress, putting my shoulder at risk for impingement, and it's also moving my neck forward too. So I have this internal rotation risk at my shoulder here, my neck here, my scalenes are on stretch here, stretching out some of the neural structures as well in my neck. I have my kyphotic spine, and then I'm also increasing the distance of my thoracic spine from my body, or my thoracic spine from my low back, increasing the demand of these muscles in the low back. When we have increased demand here in our low back, we're also not able to use our glutes as well as we're standing, because we're coming forward here, so we're actually not getting as much hip extension. And then this whole cascade goes on. We don't have hip strength. We're going to put our wrist, knee, ankle, all at a higher risk of injury there. So the thoracic spine, even though it doesn't get a whole lot of injury, it's kind of that intermediary that can cause a lot of dysfunction throughout the body. So we want to make sure we have a lot of thoracic spine mobility, and at least are able to get into this upright position, and we're not stuck in this kyphotic spot. Okay, that's where the foam roll of the thoracic spine can play a big role. Okay, the foam roll of the thoracic spine works on relaxing the muscles. It also applies a rotational aspect or mobilization to the spinal segment. So we have, we'll call this our spinal segment. So if this is the back of our spine, we have our transverse processes on the side, our vertebral body, then just our spinous processes right in the middle. And what we were doing with that foam roll, we have the foam roll going back and forth. It's kind of pressing on these transverse processes, getting this little bit of rotation, trying to improve our rotation of that thoracic spine, just getting it more mobile. Okay, usually with these joints, we want to just move them in any direction we can to help mobilize them, get more mobility at the joint tissue. We have the capsules around each joint, but also trying to relax the muscles that connect, or the muscles that turn into tendons that connect to these joints and help them move. So the foam roll is a pretty relaxed method of improving this thoracic spine rotary mobility. Today we're going to go over a way with a baseball or a lacrosse ball that's going to be a little bit firmer, a little bit more aggressive on the rotational or transverse plane thoracic spine mobility. Then we'll go over a sagittal plane or a forward-backward motion, which is really important for breaststroke, butterfly, and even some rowing activities, anything where you're kind of moving in this forward, backward, or sagittal plane. So for this one, like I said, it's a little more aggressive and it's a little trickier to set up. Some important rules are when you're rotating and rolling your body, not to twist the back, but to rotate as a full unit, okay? You may want to put a sock around one of these balls just to prevent it from sticking or flying out underneath you, and it'll just be a little simpler. You can also try and use grooves in the floor to help stabilize that ball. So what I'm going to do, I'll lie on my back with my knees back. I'm going to suck in and find the bottom of my ribs. Okay, the bottom of the ribs is approximately where our thoracic spine ends and where our lumbar spine begins. So we want to go ahead and roll on our side. You find the bumps in the middle of your back. Okay, these are your spinous processes. If you're very thin or lean, you can feel these very easily, but everyone should still be able to feel it. They're just the bumps right in the middle of your back. You're going to go about an inch or 2 to 3 centimeters to the side, and then you're just going to go ahead and roll onto that ball. And what we're trying to lay on, if we have our spine here again, here is our spinous processes in the middle and the back. We are working on the transverse processes. That's where we're trying to put that ball, kind of at that group between where our transverse processes, and if I have this now, my right hand is one of our ribs, it's going in this region where the transverse processes and the ribs meet up. So I stick it right there, right on my transverse processes. I give myself a hug. This will help me rotate as a unit. Then I'm just rolling on the ball, off the ball. On the ball, off the ball. Small motions here, always keeping some pressure on the ball so it doesn't just squirt out and I have to chase it over and over. Okay, I recommend doing about 10 rolls there, and this is pretty aggressive. That's a pretty strong pull. You can determine how much you want to roll. The less you roll the ball, obviously, the less aggressive it will be. Okay, after 10 rolls, you just take that ball, move it up a little bit further. Okay, you can try and move up one segment at a time, or not worry about it, just go up about an inch, then you roll on again and off. On again and off. And during this, you may have some back cracking or cavitations that's fine. That's just some pressure releasing, and it should actually help it feel better and help give a little bit more mobility. Okay, so we'll say that's 10, move up again, and then rotate again. Okay, so I usually do about 4 spots on each side, but like I said, you can do each segment up if you want to be that precise, or just move up an arbitrary amount, just making sure you're getting 3 to 4 spots at least on each side. And once you get up here a little bit higher, you just can have your arm go over your head, and then the last segment is pretty much as high as you can go. Okay, our thoracic spine goes all the way up to our cervical spine, which is just our neck. Okay, so we're just doing this rotary movement on each side, and then you just take the ball and switch on the other side. Okay, so this is another thoracic spine rotational or rotary mobility exercise. But like I said, that's not the only thing we want to improve on, especially for kyphotic. We're usually rounded in the sagittal plane, not in this transverse plane. We're not having rotations. So what you can do is tape 2 baseballs, 2 tennis balls, 2 lacrosse balls together, create a peanut like this. Okay, then what you're going to do, if you can imagine your spinous process or your spine is going to lie right there, then you can just go ahead and push back and try and get more extension in your spine, specifically at in the thoracic spine. So if you can get shot behind me, Chris, I'm just starting this in my thoracic spine, the lower aspect. I put my hands on my head to protect myself and my neck, then I just lean back and return. Lean back and return. Okay, you'll need to have some core strength in our frontal or our sagittal plane of our core, but make sure you just have nice and control. You're not just flopping down and back, hurting your spine. Spinal hygiene, very important, okay? Not just for other body parts or other systems of your body. Hygiene is very crucial. And you're just leaning back and up, back and up. So once again, I usually recommend 10 on each spot here. You can go up each segment at a time. You have some cavitations, but I usually recommend these rock backs here for those trying to improve more sagittal plane, range of motion, or any mobility at all in the spine. Okay, so these are just 2 different options for some more aggressive spinal mobility exercises at the thoracic spine.